All right, next question up says, I've been reviewing the last few weeks of programming, and I've honestly been trying to figure it all out. I do see the progressive overload by use of estimated 1 rep maxes, weekly undulating periodization, the use of variation, and even fatigue management. My question is about the last one. I understand that the use of RPE scales as a way to auto-regulate the training load, but without a scheduled deload, wouldn't you just auto-regulate into the ground? My assumption of this is that although the intensity matters, the absolute intensity, doesn't volume matter as much, if not more, in way of recovery? So I'm not 100% sure that I've got your question in hand, but I intend to take some stabs at it. Let me know if I've got it, and if not, feel free to write me back. No, you're not going to auto-regulate into the ground. Auto-regulation is just course correction. So we start with a good plan. The better the plan that we can start out with, the better off we're going to be. So think of it like, let's think of it like a rocket ship, right? So you're the rocket, and we're going to set your trajectory. We're going to come up with the best flight plan possible to launch this rocket to the moon, But the moon's a long way away, and we have to correct for these minor unforeseen things that are going to happen along the way. So we come up with the best plan possible. We're going to launch at exactly this trajectory, and we come up with the best flight plan possible. But there still has to be course corrections along the way. That's what autoregulation is. That's how autoregulation works. It's that we're 5 minutes into the flight and slightly off course just a little bit. So autoregulation is a course correction to get us back on track. So autoregulation should not autoregulate you into the ground. If it does, then we're not using it correctly, or our flight plan was really, really bad to begin with. So that shouldn't be the case. If the training is set up in such a way that a scheduled deload is required, then that should be part of the original flight plan. The training doesn't have to be set up that way, though. There's a bunch of different ways that you can set up your training. Sometimes it includes scheduled deloads, sometimes it doesn't. And for guided programming in particular, some groups have them. I guess all groups have them. It's just a matter of frequency. Some groups have them every 3 to 4 weeks. Others have them every 6, 7, 8 weeks. Others, I can't think of any groups that only have scheduled deloads every training cycle, but you could do that conceivably. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So as far as intensity and volume and which one matters more, it's hard to say, and frankly, it doesn't matter. Volume is important, intensity is important. You can't have one without the other, and you're not going to have ideal progress unless you're optimizing both variables. So the using RPE is an auto-regulation tool to put the right weight on the bar. It's going to have minor, even negligible effects on your total volume. If you're getting more than 5% variation in your training loads due to RPE, then either, in that case, the training is probably not ideal for you. Meaning that either you need to be in a different training group that allows more consistent performance, or you're not using RPE correctly, or something like that. I would say a greater than 5% variance to your training loads from 1 week to the next is indicative of a problem. Maybe not a major problem, but something that should be addressed. I'm not sure if I'm getting at the heart of your question here, but that's about all I can see that I need to address. The other aspect, as far as volume mattering possibly more by way of recovery, that's probably true. Volume is going to have a bigger impact on your ability to recover than intensity will. So the the two biggest rocks in the jar in terms of things that are affecting your recovery are volume, the total amount of work that you're doing, and your psychological arousal. So intensity, it does play a role, but it's not as big as a lot of people think. Primarily intensity, higher intensities drive higher psychological arousal. So if that's the case, then you get more stress. But if it's not the case, then you don't get as much stress as you otherwise would. So psychological arousal is really the thing that we want to look at in terms of the other variable. Now, volume is a big player because volume, I mean, that's the physical work that you're doing, and that does cause damage, and it does cause a recovery debt that has to be paid. So yeah, in terms of recovery, absolutely. Volume is going to matter more than intensity. RPE is not going to play into that, though. In terms of auto-regulating your training volume, that's where track comes into play. In particular, the long-term graphs for track, that's what we want to look at. We want to make sure that we're staying in that just right range, even kind of on the higher end of the just right range, but that ensures that we're getting sufficient recovery, but we're also working hard enough and putting enough stress on the body. So it's definitely a balancing act, and that's what track helps us to see. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Please let me know if it doesn't or if you have others.